I'm Kimberly Wharton. We're here at Cancer Rehab and Integrative Medicine for an all-levels, deeply nourishing practice. The intention today is to really nourish the body, but I promise we'll stretch everything. So we're going to start in a comfortable seat. That being said, I always recommend elevating your hips to a blanket or two. If you have a towel or a pillow, that might work as well. We took our blankets, we folded them in half. And I actually have two blankets here. And you'll stack them sitting up nice and tall, maybe in Sukhasana, easy seat. I want the knees either in line or slightly below the hips. And if this bothers the knees in any way or the hips in any way, you might take a couple blocks or books, also do the job if you're at home, and support. Now in this practice you will need a couple blocks, so if you don't have blocks, once again, two dense books will do the job. A blanket or a pillow or even a towel will do nicely. So we're going to start here, and I want you to reach back, pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. It's a weird thing we do in our yoga. So we have a nice lumbar curve here. And we'll rest one hand on your low belly and one hand at your heart. You might close your eyes from top to bottom. Allow your spine to grow nice and tall. Allow your collarbones to broaden, shoulder blades to soften down your back towards your spine. And slide the corners of your neck back so your head is right over your heart. And let's start with a nice inhale through the nose. And open the mouth, let it go. We'll do that again, smooth inhale. And open the mouth, let it go. Good, closing the lips softly. And take a smooth inhale through the nose. Keeping the lips together if that's comfortable. Exhale all the breath out. Good. Take a smooth inhale. A pause at the top. And a nice long exhale. A pause at the bottom. A smooth inhale, a pause if it's comfortable, and a nice long exhale, inviting a pause at the bottom, and continuing just like that, nice and easy, at the rhythm of your breath. And we're focusing a little more on the exhale. Exhale stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, or your body's relaxation response. And we'll allow that to be our focal point. Nice smooth inhales. And a nice long exhale. Good. And continuing nice and easy, your rhythm. As we bake here a few moments longer together, I'm going to read a passage from the Book of Awakening entitled Feeling Your Feelings. It starts with a quote by Gita Bellin. She says, "The fastest way to freedom is to feel your feelings." Author goes on to write, "This sounds pretty simple, but though it's easy to know you have feelings, easy to know their weight and agitation and suddenness of mood, it is another more subtle matter to feel them. That is, to let them penetrate your being the way wind snaps through a flag. This is necessary because if we don't feel our feelings all the way through, they never leave us. And then we do all kinds of unusual things to get out from under them. This is the cause of many an addiction. I've diverted myself many times by becoming involved in what surrounds my pain or sadness, while never feeling the thing itself. So when someone asks me how I feel, I wind up retelling the circumstance of the pain, but not feeling it, or strategizing what to do next, but not feeling it, or anticipating reactions, but not feeling what is mine to feel, or swimming in the anger of injustice, but but not diving through the wound. Though we may fear it, feeling our feelings is the only clear and direct way to free our hearts of pain. Slowly slide your bottom hand up to rest at your top hand. And from your heart, I invite you to plant your sankalpa. Now, at its truth, your sankalpa is your deepest heart's desire. Repeating it to yourself 3 times in the present tense. I am that, or they, we are that. And we'll sing the sound of Om 1 time together. As always, you can choose to sing or to listen. First, a breath. Take a nice inhale. And open the mouth, let it go. Good. Inhale. Bowing your thinking mind to your heart. And keep the hands stacking at the heart center. Float your chin parallel to the floor. Blink your eyes to open. We're going to stretch the arms out to the sides, and if you need to stagger, you do. It's fine. Melt the shoulder blades a bit. Take a nice inhale, grow taller, grow wider, grow vaster. As you exhale, hinge over to the right. Hand plants either to the floor or a block. Allow your left arm to reach in the opposite direction. And I'm looking for a nice long line from your right fingertips all the way up to your left fingertips. You might even reach up more. Good. You might stay right here or see what it feels like to draw that arm bone back just a little bit. Now, as always, take what serves you, discard what doesn't. If something doesn't feel right in your unique body, we change it or we don't do it. And wave me over. You might even roll the head or the gaze down at that bottom shoulder. Maybe that shoulder blade melts a little bit. And then see what it feels like to reach that arm bone back towards the back left corner of the rib. And keep that shoulder head rolling open. Once again, the gaze might roll down. And breathe. I want to invite you to stay right here or take some arm circles. So inhale, sweep that arm alongside the ear. Bring it back and around. And then inhale, sweep that arm alongside the ear. And bring it back and around. And one more full circle. Inhale, sweep that arm alongside the ear. And bring it back and around. And this time, inhale, sweep that arm alongside the ear. Reach the arm up, let it lift you up, 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 up. And then exhale, lower the arm all the way down. From here, take an inhale, reach both arms up. And as you exhale, we're going to turn to the left. And the hands will unwind wherever feels good. You might bring your left fingertips behind you to the floor or a block if they're hovering. You don't want it to be your deepest twist. But allow your sitting bones to really ground down the base of your pelvis. And your spine like a spiral staircase growing nice and tall, all the way up and out the crown of the head, that top fontanelle. If the chin starts to lift, draw the chin a little more parallel to the earth. And maybe from all of that length, the gaze rolls over your back shoulder. It doesn't have to. Good. Breathe. Beautiful. Let's take a nice inhale together. We'll stay in the twist. As you exhale, just the gaze unwinds to center. Take a pause there. We'll take an inhale, grow taller. And as you exhale, unwind the torso. Rest the hands on the knees or the lap. Close your eyes. We'll take a cleansing breath. Nice inhale. Out the mouth. One more time. Nice inhale. Out the mouth. Good. We'll take a resting breath. Now blink the eyes to open. We've been sitting this way for a while, so we're going to lean back, give the knees a bit of a shake. Should feel really good right about now. And then we're going to switch the crossing of the shins. So maybe the non-dominant shin is forward. If it feels really weird, do it anyway. You might support the knees or thighs with the blocks. Make sure this feels really nice. You might pull the flesh back from your sitting bones. And this time, let's start with the arms alongside the hips. Roll your shoulders up, back, and onto your back. Good. As inhale, reach both arms up. You can look up. And as you exhale, lower your arms shoulders height. We'll melt the shoulder blades down your back. We'll turn the palms forward, take an inhale, take up space, grow taller. And then exhale, hinge over to the left. Left hand plants wherever feels right, to the floor or a block. And I'm looking for, once again, a nice long line from your left fingers to your right fingers. Good, allow your collarbones to broaden. Take an inhale, reach up more. And then as you exhale, draw that arm bone back a little bit. And you might slowly roll the gaze down towards your bottom shoulder, just an option. You might even check out that bottom shoulder. Maybe the shoulder blade softens down your back. Breathe. You might stay right here or see what it feels like to bring that arm back diagonally towards the back right corner of the room. Be curious. You can always do less or exit the pose or drape the hand on the shoulder, totally fine. You might stay here or take some arm circles. Inhale, sweep that arm alongside the ear. As you exhale, bring it back and around. Might be small. And then inhale, sweep that arm alongside the ear. Good. As you exhale, bring it back and around. One more full circle. Inhale. And exhale. And this time, inhale, sweep that arm alongside the ear. We'll lift it up, let it lift you up, 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 up. And exhale, lower the arm all the way down. Good. On an inhale, reach both arms up. As you exhale, turn to the right. Hands lower down wherever they want to go. Good. Each inhale, lift and lengthen, grow taller. As you exhale, the navel softly draws towards your spine. Each inhale, growing taller like that spiral staircase. Exhale, navel softly hugs back. Good. Continuing nice and easy. Once again, finding all of that length all the way up to the crown of the head, that top fontanelle. And from all of that length, maybe the gaze is over your back shoulder. It doesn't have to. Breathe. Good. We'll take an inhale here, sit taller. As you exhale, the gaze slowly unwinds to center. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, the torso unwinds. Pause. You might close your eyes. We'll take an inhale through your nose. Out the mouth. Good. We'll blink the eyes to open. Now let's go ahead, lean back, shake out the knees. Knees a good shake this time. We'll bring the feet a little wider than hip bone distance apart. Reach the arms forward, make soft fists with the hands. Plug the arm bones in, melt your shoulder blades down your back, sit taller. And notice if you can sit a little taller if you bend your knees. Grow the spine nice and tall. Good. And then circle your wrists and your ankles. Draw the chin a little more parallel to the floor. Good. I'm a big believer in move it or lose it, and not in the boot camps right away, but in the way that we must lubricate our joints every single day. Get really dense. Move in the opposite direction, please. I also believe in moving the spine in every direction it was meant to move every day. We'll do that today. Go ahead, shake it up. And then you're going to shift your shins to one side, and you're going to make your way into a tabletop position, hands and knees position on the mat. Now, if you have sensitive knees, please, please, please pad your knees. You might take a blanket or a towel. Place it underneath the knees, make sure it's smooth, make sure it's comfortable. And if hands and knees doesn't feel good for you, we can line the belly as well. Wrists right under your shoulders, knees under your hips. And look look at your hands as if it was the very first time you saw them. And just for fun, spread your fingers nice and wide, find jazz hands. I love jazz hands. And then bring your fingers all the way together, find little thin hands. And then find a happy medium. Good. So your hands are energized without losing energy. Good. Press the floor away, feel the strength of your two arms. Slide your shoulder blades down your back. Draw the navel softly towards your spine. And ground down in your shins and the tops of the feet. Let's take an inhale to the roof of your mouth, please. And an exhale down to the base of the spine. And follow that path, cat-cow. So as you inhale, heart draws forward through the gate of the shoulders. And as you exhale, round the spine with the navel, hollow out the low belly. And again, inhale, draw your heart forward, a little pause at the top. And as you exhale, round the spine with the navel, hollow out the low belly, pausing at the bottom. And continuing just like that at your rhythm, your breath. You might even close the eyes to see or feel deeper. Good. And we'll take one more, maybe two more. And then inhale to a nice long spine. You'll bring your big toes together, bring your knees wide, and slowly reach your hips back. Stretch your arms forward, child's pose. Now if the forehead doesn't comfortably meet the earth, you might stack your hands or a block under your forehead. If this pose doesn't serve you, we change it. We don't want to serve the pose, we want the pose to nourish us, to serve us. Good. And as you arrive here in this forward fold, send your breath into the back of the body. Send your breath into the back of the body. Good. And then listen carefully. Stretch your arms forward. We're going to inhale forward to a tabletop position. We're going to come into a forward fold in a moment. My favorite way is to curl your toes under, walk your hands back, reach your heels down, widen the feet, and come into a forward fold towards the back of your mat. Now there's no one way to do anything. If you prefer coming into it in another way, you can, but we'll stay in this forward fold. Bend your knees, you might catch hold of opposite elbows. If you are congested or don't want to bring your head below your heart for various reasons, you have any eye stuff going on, you might elevate your hands to blocks, bringing your head in line with your heart, and breathe. Good. If you're holding elbows, uncross and then recross in the opposite direction. You might invite a little movement here. Sway a bit from side to side, or you might bend one knee a little more than the other knee. And then when you're ready, invite the arms all the way down. And if your feet are as wide as your mat, heel toe your feet, one heel toe closer together. We're going to pause there. Good. And then see what it feels like to heel toe your feet about 5 to 6 inches apart, about hip bone distance. Now if that doesn't work in your body, keep them a little bit wider for now, totally fine. You're going to bend your knees forward, slide your hands up to your shins, and as you inhale, draw your heart forward, parallel to the floor. And once again, just like we did sitting, if you bend your knees more, can you lengthen your spine forward-er? You might even rest your fingertips softly on your shins or even on your thighs. Press your fingertips into the legs, slide your shoulder blades down your back. Grow your spine longer. Good. Keep the knees bent, bring your hands to your hips. Hug your elbows towards one another. With a long spine, inhale, come all the way up. Good. Exhale, relax your arms all the way down. We've arrived. Let's take a walk forward to the top of your yoga mat, please. And I'm going to recommend having two blocks, nice and tall at the top of your yoga mat. Once again, if you're practicing at home, you might use 2 big books. And you're going to bring your feet right between the blocks into Tadasana. Now, sometimes we practice with big toes together, but I'm going to recommend feet about hip bone distance apart. I like it better for women because it creates a wider base, because women have curves. So from here, if you're not sure what your hip bone distance is, you can find your hip bones, 2 very knobby points at the front of your pelvis. And once you find them, you should be able to draw a plumb line to the very center of your kneecaps to your 2nd and 3rd toes. That is your hip bone distance. And then come on up mindfully. Good. From here, look at your feet. Be curious. These amazing works of art. You're going to lift up your toes, spread them wide. And then ground down in the big toe mount, ground down in the pinky toe mount, ground down in the center of your heels, and then maybe gaze a little bit forward or parallel to the floor. Imagine you have a little sand under your feet. Try to pull a little sand up into the arches. And then find a little sense memory, soften a bit, spread your toes all the way down. Good. Bring your attention up to your knees. If you're a knee locker outer, micro bend the knees. We can even exaggerate a little bit. Bring the heels of your hands to the tops of your thigh bones. And begin to sit back almost as if you're going to sit into a chair. Almost. Yeah? And I'm looking for the groins to be soft. The groins, these creases at the tops of your thigh bones. You might even take your thumbs and kind of press around a little bit. And notice if you can deepen and soften. Yeah? It's a little personal. So with the groins soft, we're going to place one hand on your low belly and one hand at your sacrum. That triangular plate at the base of your spine. And all I want you to do is begin to drape the flesh of the buttocks a little more towards your heels. You might notice something happen in your front hand. If you don't, that's fine too. And then relax your arms down. And begin to telescope your legs up into your pelvis without locking out your knees. Good. And then just for fun, we'll bring the hands to the heart. Glue your thumb knuckles to your sternum bone, the center of your chest. Keep the collarbones broad and allow the heart to rise up into your sternum bone. Or pardon me, your heart to rise up into your thumb knuckles. And then relax your arms down. And keep that. Now sometimes when we lift the heart, we puff the chest open, right? But if that's you, can you create expansion in the back ribs as well? Even out into the side ribs. So we're expanding circumferentially in all directions. So we have the pelvic bowl. We have the cage of the ribs stacking right over the pelvis. And then the head is stacking right over the heart. Right over the cage of the ribs. The palms can turn in, or the palms can turn forward. I'll give you the choice. And simply breathe here. So when the body is aligned and stacked, the arms might even feel lighter. So just notice. And for the record, in our yoga we call this Tadasana, right? It is mountain pose. It is the basis of all of our standing poses. Outside of yoga, we call it standing. It's valuable, right? What we find in our yoga is quite valuable in the yoga of our daily lives. From here, let's take an inhale to the roof of your mouth. Exhale, hands to your heart. And take an inhale to the roof of your mouth. And we'll open the mouth, ocean sound. Beautiful. Close the lips softly. You might keep that ocean sound, or that ujjayi breath, we call it. Our natural breath is just fine. And you can blink your eyes to open. On an inhale, we'll open the arms out, palms up, shoulders soft. Good. As you exhale, pulse it back to the heart. Do that again. Inhale, open, expand, palms up like you're holding oranges in your hands. Good. Exhale, back to the heart. One more time. Inhale, open, expand. And exhale, back to the heart. Good. Let's add on. This time, inhale, stretch your arms up. As you exhale, reach your arms to the sides, bend your knees, bow forward, hands to the blocks at the highest level, all the way down. Now, if you're folded down on an inhale, halfway rise. Now, we've been here before. Yeah? Can you draw your navel in and up? Grow your spine longer. Gaze a little bit forward so you're not dropping your head below your heart. You're going to shift your weight into your right foot, come onto the toes of your left foot. And very slowly reach your left leg back, draw your heart forward, set your toes down. So we call this a runner's lunge. Okay. So front knee right over your ankle. Good. Slide your shoulder blades down your back a little longer. Now listen carefully. You're going to soften your back knee a little more than a micro bend. A little more than a micro bend. And then bring your attention to the front of that thigh, the quadricep muscles. And very slowly, we're going to contract the quadricep muscles, pull the kneecap up, up, up towards that left hip, come behind the ball of that back foot. And then as you exhale, reach your left heel towards the back of the room and lunge your front knee towards the front of the room. I'm going to do that again. So soften your back knee a little more than a micro bend. Contract the quadricep muscles, pull the kneecap up towards your hip, come behind the ball of that back foot. And then as you exhale, press your back heel towards the back of the room. Lunge the front knee towards the front of the room, and you're going to stay and breathe. Now I like the blocks nice and tall, shoulders on the back. If you want to lower your blocks or get rid of your blocks, be my guest. All I ask is that you can breathe comfortably. One more breath. Good. And then you hop that back foot in just a tiny, tiny little bit. Walk your blocks about 12 inches forward, gaze a little forward, and then inhale, step forward, top of the mat, forward fold. Bend the knees, walk the blocks back so they frame the feet. We're going to go right to the second side, so as you inhale, lengthen your spine long. We're going to stay here, exhale, draw the navel softly back. Shift the weight into your other foot, I think your left foot, come under the toes of your right foot. And very, very slowly reach your right leg back, pull your heart forward, grow longer, set the toes down. Good. Great. Beautiful. We want that heel right over that second and third toe. So there's that Tadasana. Slide your shoulder blades down your back. And once again, we're going to soften that back knee a little more than a micro bend. Good. Bring your attention to the front of the thigh, the quadricep muscles. Begin to contract the quadricep muscles. Pull your kneecap up, up, up towards your right hip. Come behind the ball of that back foot. And then press your back heel back. And your front knee forward. Good. We'll do that again. Soften your back knee. Contract the quadricep muscles. Pull the kneecap up, up, up. Come behind the ball of that back foot. And as you exhale, press your right heel back. Lunge your front knee forward. We'll stay and breathe. Once again, if it feels comfortable, you might lower your blocks down or get rid of your blocks. Good. Back of the neck in line with the rest of the spine. One more breath. Good. From here, you might hop that back foot in just a tiny little bit. Walk your blocks about 12 inches forward, gaze forward, and then inhale, slowly step forward, top of the mat. We'll take a forward fold here. Once again, you might stay with your head in line with your heart, or bend your knees. You might catch hold of opposite elbows. We'll take a little rest here. Head and neck relaxing down. Good. And then unwind your arms completely. Soften the knees a little bit or a lot of it. Slide your hands to shins or thighs. Inhale, halfway rise. Draw your heart forward. You might bend your knees deeper. Slide your shoulder blades down your back. Beautiful. Bring your hands to your hips. Long spine. Inhale, come all the way up. Good. As you exhale, relax your arms all the way down. Let's take an inhale through your nose. Out the mouth. One more time. Inhale through the nose. Out the mouth. Resting breath. And I want you to take your blocks with you. We're going to take a quarter turn with the left leg towards the door wall. Quarter turn with the left leg towards the door wall. Now you might reach your arms out, measure your stance. I like the ankles underneath the wrists. If you are newer to the practice or returning to the practice or tired, narrow your stance, totally fine. And you're going to set your blocks nice and tall behind your heels. You're going to set your blocks nice and tall behind your heels. Deep within the hip socket, we're going to pivot the right toes towards the front of the room. And then take a little peek at this back leg. You're gonna pivot the back heel about a ½ inch back and root it down. You might even imagine your heel as a beach umbrella, really burrowing into the earth. Yeah? And then unlock your knees. Just notice if your knee lock or outer. Yeah? Take an inhale, go taller. And as you exhale, lunge the front knee forward. Good. Front knee right over the ankle. Take a pause here. I want you to take your right hand, slide it from your right inner thigh to your right inner knee. We're gonna keep that. And then bring your left hand to the front of your left shoulder. And widen your hands apart. Good, great. Bring your hands back to your hips. We'll move in and out of the shape. So as you inhale, begin to straighten that front knee. And then exhale, rebend. You might even imagine, we'll do this a few times, you might even imagine there's a rubber band around your lower legs, yeah? And as you inhale, you're stretching that rubber band apart. Good. And exhale, draw it in, squeezing the legs together. And then exhale, widen apart. Beautiful. Let's do this one more time. Hug it. And then exhale, widen apart and stay. Good. So your front knee is right over the ankle. Once again, the upper body is in the direction or leaning towards squaring towards this side of the room. I'm not looking for squared. I want you to keep the integrity of your front knee. Now imagine you have a paintbrush on the crown of the head. Go with me when I say that. You're gonna paint a nice big rainbow. Yeah? So take an inhale, grow taller. As you exhale, navel towards your spine, hinge right over your front thigh, either hand to the thigh or forearm to the thigh. We'll take a little pause here. I want your side waist nice and long. This might be where you stay. Or take a peek down and see what it feels like to bring your hand to the block at the highest level. Good. Keep your shin widening into your hand. Keep your right big toe glued to the floor. Melissa, make sure your front foot is straight forward unless your knee is bothered. Good. Begin to slowly contract the quadricep muscles of your right leg. And very slowly begin to lift your right kneecap up, up, up towards your right hip without locking out the knee joint. Good. You'll slide that block back so the wrist is right under your shoulder. Begin to roll your bottom ribs towards your top ribs. You might keep your hand here or reach the arm to the sky. You might reach it more up. You might even lift your gaze towards your top thumb. And breathe, I'm gonna watch. Beautiful. We call this triangle pose or Trikonasana. Good. So nice. We'll take a nice inhale together. As you exhale, gaze down. We're gonna rebend your front knee. Draw your navel towards your spine. Reach through your back arm. Inhale, warrior two, please. All the way up to stand. And then straighten your front knee. Bring your hands to your hips. Parallel your feet. And if your stance is really wide, you might heel toe your feet a little closer together. Now before we take a forward fold, if you know you want to keep your head in line with your heart, go ahead, have a couple blocks, or if you're newer to the practice, have a couple blocks in front of you. Yeah? Good. And bring your hands to your hips. And soften your knees, anchor down, and tack your elbows back. Just for fun, loop one shoulder up, back, and onto your back. Maybe you find a door there. Loop the other shoulder up, back, and onto your back. Good. Slide the corners of your neck back. Take an inhale, lift your heart, look up. As you exhale, bow forward, hands to the blocks or floor. You might fold all the way down, you don't have to. Good. On an inhale, lengthen your spine. And then exhale, if you're folding, bow all the way in. Bow all the way in. Once again, you might keep your upper body parallel to the floor or allow the crown of the head to soften towards gravity. Just an option. Good. When we take these inversions, they have an energy of calming, of cooling, but it also allows us to see the world differently. Good. One more breath. And with your hands right under your shoulders, take an inhale, lengthen your spine. Maybe the knees are bent, beautiful. As you exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Hug the center of your shoulder blades together, elbows together. Inhale, come all the way up to stand, please. Nice and slow. Pause at the top. Good. And then we'll remeasure your stance. You might widen your hands out, widen your wrists, your ankles out, so your ankles are under your wrists. You might relocate your blocks if you found them to be helpful. And And then we should probably take the second side. So bring your hands to your hip points. And then deep within the hip socket, we're going to pivot the left toes towards the back of the room and really plant the foot with care. Big toe mound, pinky toe mound, heel. And then we're going to slightly pivot this right heel back. Now, if you were to trace a line from your front heel, it should intersect the mid-arch of your back foot, heel to arch alignment. Back toes are slightly forward, about a half an inch. Good. Your back heel almost like a beach umbrella. Now, if your knee locker outer, bend your knees. Ground down into the earth. And then take an inhale, grow taller. And then exhale, begin to lunge your front knee forward. Good. We'll do the same thing here. So front knee right over your ankle. You'll take your left hand from the left inner thigh and slide it to the inner knee. We'll take a little pause there. And without changing that left leg, bring your right hand to the front of your right shoulder and widen your hands apart. So the upper body is moving in the direction of squaring, although it's not going to be squared. And bring your hands to your hips. Good. Imagine a big rubber band around your lower legs. And take an inhale, begin to hug the legs in. And then exhale, widen that rubber band apart. Good. We'll do that again. Inhale, hug in. And exhale, resist as you widen out. Good. And one more time. Inhale, hug in. Exhale, widen and stay. Now, if you find that your knee is beyond your ankle, heel toe your front foot a little bit forwarder. So your knee is right over the ankle. Beautiful. Good. We're going to imagine that paintbrush in the crown of the head. Yeah. Take an inhale, grow taller. As you exhale, navel towards your spine, hinge right over your front thigh, either hand to the thigh or the forearm to the thigh. We'll take a little pause here. Beautiful. And then take a peek down. You might bring your hand to the block at the highest level. Begin to contract the quadricep muscles of your left leg. Draw your kneecap up, 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 up towards your right hip. Keep that left big toe glued to the floor. Good. Slide the hand back so the wrist is right under your shoulder. Roll your bottom ribs towards your top ribs. Stack your head in line with your heart. And then maybe that arm reaches up. Good. Maybe it reaches more up. Beautiful. Maybe you look up. I'm going to watch. We typically look up to energize the pose, right? But if you're feeling ungrounded or to release the neck, gaze down. Totally fine. You can play with them both. And take an inhale together. As you exhale, we'll all slowly gaze down. Begin to bend the front knee forward, navel towards your spine, reach to the back arm. Inhale, warrior two, please. And then exhale, straighten the front knee. Parallel your feet. And then you're going to heel toe your feet all the way together. Good. Step to the top of your yoga mat, please. Good. And I want you to find your strap. Now, if you don't have a strap and you're at home, you can use a belt, you can use a tie, you can use a towel or a washcloth, or you don't have to use a strap at all. You might interlace your fingers. But I'm going to have you take the strap and you're going to double it up. You're going to double it up. You're going to bring your feet about 3 feet apart, either as wide as your yoga mat or maybe a little bit wider. Bend and straighten your knees, ground down. And then you're going to bring your hands to your sacrum, that triangular plate at the base of the spine. The knuckles are going to face the wall behind you, so it's as if you're sliding your hands into pant pockets. And the first thing I want you to do, keep the knees soft, keep the groins deep, draw the navel softly back, broaden your collarbones, allow the fronts of the shoulders to move towards the backs of the shoulders, allow the elbows to draw together, and the head to stack right over your heart. So you're going to start upright, yeah? So all I want you to do is explore drawing the lower arms back, not down, but back. And if you need to widen your hands, you can. Yeah, keep the collarbones broad, maybe the elbows soften, breathe. And I want to give the choice to stay upright if you're not bowing forward. Otherwise, re-glue your hands to your sacrum. Keep your knees bent. Take an inhale, lift your heart, look up. As you exhale, bow forward, hands on your low back. Hug your elbows together, shoulder blades together, and maybe you reach the knuckles or strap up. You don't have to. And keep the elbows perhaps a little soft. And I love using the strap because you can play a bit with the the rotation of the arm bones. You might roll the thumbs a little bit forward. You can have too much of a good thing, so do just enough. Don't meet your edge. You might roll the palms in a little bit. You might play with that. Or my favorite is to bend my knees more, soften my elbows more, and slide the strap from side to side like I'm flossing the ceiling. Good. Beautiful. Great. When you're done, bend your elbows, re-glue your hands to your sacrum, keep your knees bent, take an inhale, halfway rise. Pause for the exhale, navel towards your spine, hug the elbows together, neck in line with the rest of the spine. Inhale, rise. Exhale, relax the strap. We're going to move it to the side. Step your feet together, shake out anything that needs shaken. How are we doing?
Good.
Doing all right? Let's do one more standing pose. So, we'll do a little balancing. Ground your feet. Bend and straighten your knees a few times. Feet about hip bone distance apart. Good. Bring your hands to your hips. Find a drishti, find a focal point, either slightly in front of you or horizon level. Try not to stare directly at you, that gets awkward. And then shift the weight into your right foot. Come onto the toes of your left foot, please. We'll take a little pause here. Yeah? So once again, as you ground down in that standing leg, rise taller without locking out that knee. So keep the hip bones squaring forward, but we're gonna externally rotate that left hip in its socket. Don't think of it as a hip opener. It is, but don't think of it as one. Slide the foot towards the ankle, pause. You might stand a little bit taller. Notice if you just start hanging out in that right hip, right? So if that's you, ground down, rise up. You might stay here, or you might slide the foot to the shin. You might slide the foot to the inner thigh. Doesn't make you a better person or a better tree. You might bring your hands to your heart. Hug in wherever you are. Wherever you are, draw in the foot towards the thigh, thigh back in the foot. Maybe that left kneecap is lengthening down a little bit. Allow your heart to rise, ribs to expand, head to stack. Maybe the arms reach. Beautiful. Breathe. If you wobble, we call it wind. It's fine. You might even explore a little wind. Or a lot of wind. Good. Beautiful. When you're ready, take a nice inhale. As you exhale, bring your hands back to your heart. Spin your knee forward, pause, and then set the foot down. Set the arms down. Shake it out. Good. Tree pose is a beautiful pose for anxiety. It can give you anxiety. I'm just kidding. It can if you come into the pose, right? And you're here and you're like, oh, I'm gonna hold it up. And your whole body is tensing, right? You can hold it there, but you're not gonna feel better when you come out of the pose, right? It actually is a beautiful pose to ground or to calm anxiety. That being said, when we come into it, wherever it is, doesn't matter to me what it looks like. Find your focus and soften. I'd rather you be soft, tender, than stiff and hard. Your choice. Yeah? So when you're ready, ground your feet. Let's take a breath. Take an inhale through your nose. Open the mouth, let it go. Blink your eyes to open, find a drishti, a focal point. Bring your hands to your hips. Shift the weight into your left foot. Come to the toes of your right foot. Keep your hip bones squaring forward. Externally rotate that right leg in its socket. Good. And slide the foot towards the ankle. We'll take a little pause there. Grow taller. You might stay there. You might slide the foot up a little bit. You might slide the foot up a lot of it. Once again, does not matter to me. Unlock your standing knee. Bring your hands to your heart. Hug in. Foot to the thigh, thigh back in the foot. Make sure it's not on the knee, either above or below. Maybe that right kneecap lengthens down a little bit so the hips are aligned. Good. Allow your heart to rise. Head to stack. Maybe from the softness of your heart, the arms reach. Imagine your arms are attached to the strings of your heart. And breathe. Good. Soften your edges. Beautiful. And take a nice inhale. As you Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Pause. Spin your knee forward. Pause. Set the foot down. Send your arms down. Shake it out. Good. So from here, we're going to come into child's pose. Yeah? So I want you to take your time, and you're going to come all the way down to the earth. Not my best transition, can't win them all. And once again, you might take a blanket under the knees. And we're going to take a little time to rest here. So as you arrive here, knees might be together. Knees might be wide, they are different. Torso lengthening forward. Arms can be forward, arms can be back. Now if the forehead doesn't comfortably meet the earth, leave me over, I can bring you a little more support under your forehead. If you're at home, you might take another blanket or your hands under your forehead. Good. Just going to round the back of the body a bit here with the knees together. It's a little more cooling on the kidneys, the adrenals. They're different. Just notice. Sending breath into the back of the body. Good. Great. And then slowly drag your hands back, round yourself up to sit. Shift your hips to one side, stretch your legs forward. You can have that blanket to the side of your yoga mat, just in case you need it. And give the knees a little bit of a shake. And I want you to find one block and have a block reachable near the side of your yoga mat. You don't necessarily need a block, but we're going to set up for a few rounds of back bending, so I like a block to have just in case. You're going to bend your knees, scoot yourself forward. And there's no one way to lie back. I'm going to show you my favorite way. I want to make sure there's nothing behind you. You can bring your hands behind you, shoulders are open. Watch just for a moment. We'll take an inhale. As you exhale, navel towards your spine, lower down to your forearms. About halfway down, you'll gaze towards your navel. And then slide your hands forward to create length all the way down. You might even hold on to your thighs. Or you might roll down on a side. There's no one way to do anything. Once you're down, go ahead, bend your knees. Bend your knees, feet flat on the earth. And you're going to bring your feet close enough to you that the weight is not only in the heels of your feet, but you also feel grounded and anchored in the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound. Good. You might take that block and snuggle it between your upper inner thighs. You're welcome to place it between your knees as well. It's really a matter of preference. When I place it in my inner knees, I tend to pull a little more on my inner knees. So I like the block between your upper inner thighs, but I'll give you the choice. Good. Relax your arms down alongside the body. And palms might roll down, or the palms might roll in. I'll give you the choice. Palms might roll down, or the palms might roll in towards your body. I'll give you the choice. Now, wherever your arms are, can you melt the backs of your shoulders back? And if that doesn't work, widen your arm bones just a little bit wider. Good. Great. Take a breath. Take a nice inhale. And stay for the exhale. On an inhale, lift your hips up a little bit, a lot of it, or not a bit. You get to choose. Good. Now if your palms are rolling in, you might walk your shoulder blades a little closer towards one another. You might catch the edges of your yoga mat. If you like to interlace your fingers underneath you, you certainly can. You don't have to. Maybe the palms come together. Breathe. There's just the urge to turn your head here. Good. And the backs of the shoulders tacking back, softening back. Beautiful. One more breath. Nice inhale. Widen your arms and shoulder blades, and as you exhale, roll it all the way down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Good. We're going to rest for 3 breaths. So widen your feet as wide as your mat. Relax your knees together, please. And rest one hand on low belly and one hand at your heart. I'm going to tell you a little story. So I was practicing bridge pose at home, as I often do, and I have a cat named Gracie. And she came up behind me and put her paw underneath my shoulder as a little reminder to soften my shoulder head back. She'll be teaching here on the next schedule. So you never want to allow a little cat paw under your shoulder when you rise. The shoulders are melting back so the heart can expand. Yeah? Okay. So when you're ready, we'll reset the arms. Reset your knees, your feet, your ankles. Feet hip bone distance apart. And once again, yogi's choice. Palms might turn down, or the palms might roll in. Allow the outer arm bones to wrap back. No cat paws under your shoulders. Take a breath. Take a nice inhale. Stay for the exhale. Navel softly hugs the spine. And as you inhale, rise up, please. Good. Same arm choices. You might walk your shoulder blades softly towards one another. You might interlace the other way. Now, what would it feel like to lengthen your kneecaps forward towards the front of the room? Good. Beautiful. Breathe. Good. Take one more inhale together. Widen your arms and shoulder blades. And as you exhale, roll it all the way down, vertebrae by vertebrae. And once again, we'll rest. So you might move the block to the side. You might widen your feet. Drop your knees together. Place one hand on low belly, one hand at your heart. And rest. Good. Breathe. Receive. The opportunity to take one more bridge pose. We'll do it together. So if you'd like to join us, unwind the arms once again. Reset your feet. Good. Once again, palms either down or palms might roll in. Roll the outer arm bones back. Take a breath. As you inhale, rise up. Good. Same arm choices. And this time, as your feet ground down, without moving the feet, energetically try to drag the heels back towards the back of the room. So without moving them, try to drag them back. And breathe. Relax the skin of your face. Good. One more breath. We're done. On an exhale, roll it all the way down. Beautiful. Once you touch down, hug your knees in towards the chest, please. Give them a good hug. And we're going to come into happy baby pose. So the knees are going to widen. I'll do this with you. The knees are going to widen. The feet are going to flex up towards the ceiling. You might hold the backs of your thighs. You might hold your shins. You might hold your outer or even your inner feet. I want it to feel good. Breathe. If your low back is rolling completely off the earth, can you yield or soften your low back towards gravity? Good. You might rock a little bit from side to side, invoking that energy of a happy baby, not a grumpy grown-up. Wasn't that funny today, was it? It was funny. It was fine, okay. Good. And then very slowly begin to zip the knees all the way together. And set your feet down to the floor. Good. And stretch your arms either out to the sides like the letter T. If it feels better to bend your elbows and goal post your arms, might feel really, really nice. Good. You're gonna set up for an easy twist. So you're gonna pick up your hips about 1/2 inch, shift them a few inches to the right side of your mat, set them down. If it's comfortable, draw the knees in. And we're gonna exhale the knees to the left, towards a door wall, Now once you touch down, if there's any pulling at all in your low back, if there's a gap between your knee, shins, and ankles, I might come around. All right, I'm gonna place a blanket underneath the knee. And you might even place a blanket between your knee, shins, and ankles. A block or two works as well. So can I snuggle a blanket? And you can kind of play with that as well if it feels better. So sometimes you're welcome. Sometimes a spacer just feels better. The arms might stay out. The arms might reach back. You might even drape your left hand on the top of your right thigh. Just an option. And breathe. Sending your breath into your right inner armpit. You might imagine there was a nostril hole drilled there. A lung point there, lung 1. Good. Beautiful. One more full breath, please. A nice inhale. We're going to stay for the exhale. Softly draw the navel towards your spine. And one knee at a time. Inhale, come on up. You might move the blankets to the side, or I might move that blanket for you. You'll set your feet down. Shift your hips up and over to the other side. We'll draw the knees in. And we'll exhale knees over to the right. Easy twist. I'm going to do the same thing here. I like the blankets. You like the blankets? I like the blankets too. I love using props. Thank you. For a few reasons. You're welcome. It stabilizes or can help stabilize the body. You might reach your arms back. You might. You might drape your right hand on the top of the thighs. Also, when the body feels something soft, its response is to soften. When the body feels something soft, its response is to soften. I think that's why we like puppies. Or cats. Good. Breathe. Sending your breath into your left inner armpit. Allowing it to be breathed. Breath, please. A nice inhale. We'll stay for the exhale. Navel softly hugs your spine. And one knee at a time. Inhale, come on up. We'll set your feet down. Reset hips and pelvis. And give your knees a good hug, a good squeeze. Beautiful. Good. For final relaxation, I want to give you the choice. You might stay reclined. Otherwise, we're going to sit up for a really yummy restorative pose. So you roll to rest on your right side in a fetal shape, using your upper arm as a pillow. Pause. And then moving really slowly, you're going to plant the top palm down and bring yourself all the way up to sit. I'm going to ask you to grab a few things, right? So we're going to use most of our props here. You're going to come into a reclined cobbler's pose. So you're going to take one of your blocks flat at the back of your mat. And once again, a book will work just fine. You're going to take a bolster or a pillow, a pretty dense pillow if you have it. And you'll place it over the block. And you can also do this at home with two folded blankets. I seem to have lost my blankets, but with two folded blankets, you might take one blanket at a time, and fold it in half, and stack a second blanket on top for another bolster. Just an option. But otherwise, we're going to use our 2 blankets that I asked you to grab. Towels work as well. You're going to take your blankets, you're going to unfold them, one fold. I'm going to lay them flat. You're going to take the fringe side. You're going to take the fringe side and you're going to roll the fringe in. Roll the fringe in. And you're going to do that with both of your blankets. Now we have the luxury here to have so many blankets and so many props. If you need more, let me know. And if you're at home, you don't necessarily need the props. I've done this pose with just a pillow behind me, totally fine. Have the luxury of both blankets. Put them side by side, make sure they're about the same density. If one is a little bit higher than the other, unroll one. Make them match. You're going to place them at the sides of your yoga mat. Stretch your legs forward. Shake up the knees. And you're going to scoot yourself close enough that for now you're sitting against the bolster. You're going to bring the soles of the feet together, a comfortable distance away from the body. You're going to take your rolled blanket to the top of your thigh and forward. And you're going to do that on both sides. You're going to support yourself holding on to the bolster. Tap your elbows back. And take an inhale. And as you exhale, roll it back. All the way back. Once you touch down, lengthen your tailbone a little bit longer towards your heels. And we're going to unwind the arms alongside the body. Now, if the floor feels far, wiggle your fingers and I'll bring the floor up to you. Okay. Be honest. Sometimes the floor feels very, very far. I'm going to snuggle a blanket underneath this arm. I'm going to support this arm. Good. You might even roll your palm open. I'll match the other arm, I promise. Now, if the palms are open, what would it feel like? What would it feel like to walk your shoulder blades a little closer towards one another? To walk your shoulder blades a little closer towards one another. So if you want to unwind the arm there, you can. Palm open. Good. Tap that over. Do you like it? Mm-hmm. Good. If the chin is tipping way up towards the ceiling, and draw the chin down a bit towards your sternum bone or the top of the chest. And if you have any leftover tension, tightness, anything at all, take an inhale, draw it up. Open the mouth, let it go. One more time, inhale. Out the mouth. Good. And rest. Shavasana. If you would like an eye pillow, or to be completely covered with a blanket, please, please wave me over. Feeling where the back of your body meets your support. In can you soften back more and be held? Bringing your awareness up your arms to where your arms attach at the shoulder girdle. And imagine your arms were boats tied to a dock. Untie them. And drawing the awareness up to the tops of the shoulders, sides of the neck. Finding a little space in the back teeth. The tongue is relaxing, widening. The inner ears are broadening. And softening the inner corners of your eyes. The outer corners of your eyes. And allowing the skin of the forehead to soften down towards the nose. And rest. You might choose to stay right here. If you're ready to exit the pose, very slowly begin to deepen the breath. You might find a little movement on your fingers. You might wiggle the fingers or brush the thumb along the padding of the fingertips. You might even circle your wrists. And bringing your hands to your outermost knees. And very slowly begin to lift the knees up, feet flat. And it might feel good to stretch the legs long. It might feel good to reach the arms out or back, stretch and yawn, breathe, explore. You might stay right here. When you're ready, you'll begin to bend your knees one at a time. There's no one way to rise. I like rolling to rest on a side of your choosing, either on or off the bolster. If you prefer to softly press yourself up, you can do that as well. It's fine. Just move slowly. Taking your time, pressing yourself all the way up into the same seat that we began. Maybe you elevate your hips to blanket or bolster. Allow your spine to go tall. And one more time, rest one hand on your low belly and one hand at your heart. And coming back to the natural rhythm of your breath. Slowly slide the bottom hand up to meet the top hand. Reconnecting to your sankalpa, your deepest heart's desire. 3 times in the present tense, please. I am that. We'll sing together the sound of one Om. First, a breath. Take a nice inhale. And let it go. Inhale to sing or listen. Bowing your thinking mind to your heart, honoring that light within, allowing that light to shine brightly for you and everyone you choose to surround yourself with today and the rest of your week. Lifting your chin, and together we say, Namaste. To practice with me in person, check out the website below or join me at Cancer Rehab and Integrative